Hey there, my friend. Let me ask you something right off the bat. Would you take a chance on a super talented wide receiver who's coming off a messy situation with his current team? Because that's exactly the case with George Pickens. And right now, his name is circling around the Star in Frisco as a potential trade target for the Dallas Cowboys. Pickens is not just another young receiver. In 2023, he racked up 1,140 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, showing real big play ability in a Steelers offense that, let's be honest, wasn't exactly high-powered. His combination of size, speed, and body control makes him one of the most gifted young wideouts in the league. But despite all that talent, things in Pittsburgh have gone south. Reports coming out of the Steelers' locker room paint a troubling picture. Sources say Pickens has clashed with coaches, shown signs of immaturity, and even created tension with teammates. There were moments last season where his body language on the field raised eyebrows. Frustration after missed targets, sideline outbursts, things that start to stack up fast in a league that thrives on discipline and unity. Now, it looks like Pittsburgh may be ready to move on. That's where Dallas could come in. The Cowboys are actively searching for a WR2 to line up opposite CeeDee Lamb. And for all of Pickens' baggage, there's no denying that his upside is elite. He's only 23 years old. Maybe all he needs is a fresh start in the right environment. So here's the big question for you. Would you take a gamble on George Pickens if you were Jerry Jones? Vote in the poll right now and drop your thoughts in the comments. Is this a risk worth taking? Coming up next, we'll break down Pickens' skill set and show you exactly how he could fit into the Cowboys' offense with Dak Prescott. Stick around. All right, so let's dig deeper into what George Pickens actually brings to the table and why the Cowboys might be the perfect landing spot for him. Pickens stands at 6'3", runs crisp routes, and has elite body control when the ball's in the air. He thrives on contested catches, especially down the sideline, and can make those highlight reel grabs that shift momentum in a heartbeat. And here's the key. You don't need to scheme him wide open every time. He can win even when he's covered. That's something the Cowboys lacked in 2024. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, no other wide receiver consistently created separation or won 50-50 balls. Brandon Cooks showed flashes, but he wasn't consistent. Michael Gallup? You already know that story. Too many drops and just couldn't return to form. That WR2 spot is wide open. Now picture this. Lamb in the slot or on one side, Pickens opposite him, and Jake Ferguson working the middle. Suddenly, defenses can't just roll coverage towards CeeDee. And if the Cowboys go with more vertical looks, especially off-play action, Pickens can burn defenses deep or draw safety help, opening everything up underneath. And what about Dak? For all the criticism he gets, Prescott thrives when he has a go-to target he can trust in tight windows. Think back to the chemistry he had with Dez Bryant early in his career. Pickens has that kind of physical style. He can become that security blanket on third downs or when the play breaks down. Plus, let's not ignore the locker room factor. Say what you want about the issues in Pittsburgh, but Dallas has a stronger leadership group. Veterans like Dak, Zach Martin, and even CeeDee have built a culture where accountability matters. A young guy like Pickens might actually benefit from that structure. So, I want to know what you think. Does George Pickens fit the Cowboys' offensive scheme? Would he complement CeeDee Lamb? Or do you worry he'd mess with the chemistry? Vote, and let's talk about it below. Next up, we'll break down what it might cost to get Pickens in a trade, and whether that price tag is something Dallas can live with. So now that we've established that George Pickens would be a great fit in Dallas, here's the next big question. What's it going to cost? Because let's be honest, players with his talent don't come cheap, especially when they're still on their rookie contracts. Pickens was a second-round pick in 2022, which means the Steelers still have him under control for 2 more seasons at a very team-friendly price. That's a major reason why his trade value is high. Pittsburgh isn't desperate to move him unless they get something significant in return. Now, based On how trades like this have played out in recent years, the starting point for a deal would probably be a second-round pick, maybe even a second plus a late-round sweetener like a fifth. But if multiple teams get involved, or if Pittsburgh wants to really play hardball, they could hold out for a first-rounder. And here's where it gets tricky for Dallas. The Cowboys have shown time and again they hate giving up premium draft capital unless they absolutely have to. We saw it last year when they passed on DeAndre Hopkins and didn't pull the trigger on other veteran receivers. They value their picks like gold. But here's the catch. This team is in win-now mode, whether Jerry Jones admits it or not. Dak Prescott's contract situation is looming. Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb are due for monster deals. You're not building for 5 years from now, you're building for this season and maybe the next. So ask yourself this, is a second-round pick worth sacrificing if it means finally solving the YR2 issue, especially if you're getting a guy with Pickens upside for less money than what you'd pay in free agency? Let me throw this one to you. Would you give up a second-rounder for George Pickens right now, or would you hold firm and look for cheaper options? Drop your vote and hit the comments. Up next, let's talk about what would need to happen inside the Star to actually pull off a move like this, and who within the Cowboys front office might be pushing for or against it. All right, now, let's take a step inside the Star. Because when it comes to making a splash move like trading for George Pickens, it's not just about talent and cost. It's about who's calling the shots behind closed doors. Let's start with Jerry Jones. The man loves a big-name move. He loves headlines, and he knows what gets the fan base buzzing. If Jerry sees Pickens as a difference maker, you better believe he'd be tempted, especially after the way last season ended, with another early playoff exit and questions swirling around Dak's supporting cast. But here's where it gets interesting. Will McClay, the Cowboys' vice president of player personnel, is known for being calculated. He's the one who finds value in the draft, the one who's built this roster piece by piece. McClay isn't just going to throw picks around unless the deal makes sense long-term, and when it comes to receivers, he's shown he prefers building through the draft or taking smaller swings, like Brandon Cooks, who cost just a fifth and a sixth. Then there's Mike McCarthy. If you're the head coach sitting on a warm seat and your offense is struggling to stay explosive, you might want another weapon. Pickens could be a guy who gives McCarthy more flexibility and more firepower. So he might quietly push for it, especially if he sees the WR2 spot as a weak link. But here's the friction. Are the Cowboys willing to risk parting with high picks, especially in a year when they need to reload the offensive line and possibly find their next quarterback? It all depends on how urgent they believe the Super Bowl window really is. And hey, you've seen how this front office operates. Sometimes it feels like they're all in, and other times it's like they're playing the long game. So tell me this, do you think Jerry will push this kind of deal through if he believes Pickens can put the offense over the top? Or will cooler heads in the front office pump the brakes? Let's keep it going. In the final chapter, we're going to put all the pieces together, how Pickens fits, what he brings, and whether the Cowboys should pull the trigger or pass. So now that we've laid it all out, the upside, the risks, the front office chess match, it's time for the real question. Should the Cowboys go all in and trade for George Pickens? If you're just looking at talent, the answer leans yes. Pickens is only 23, under contract through 2025, and has already proven he can be a big play threat in the NFL. He's got WR1 traits, and in Dallas, he wouldn't have to carry that load. Lining him up next to CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks could instantly elevate the passing game. And let's be honest, if you've watched this offense lately, you know it's missing something. Defenses aren't scared of WR2s like they used to be. Adding a guy like Pickens forces teams to pick their poison, double Lamb and give Pickens room, or play it straight and risk getting beat deep. That's the kind of math Kellen Moore used to dream about. But it's not all sunshine. The price will matter. If Pittsburgh wants a second-rounder, maybe even more, you've got to ask, is that pick better spent on a young offensive lineman, a running back, or even a future quarterback? This isn't Madden. You don't just add stars. You build a team. Then there's the personality factor. Pickens doesn't hold back. He wants the ball, and he'll let everyone know when he's not getting it. That might be exactly what this offense needs. Or it might stir the wrong kind of energy if things go sideways. So here's where you come in. Would you trade a second-round pick for George Pickens? Or would you stay the course, develop Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks, and use those picks to build through the draft? Hit the comments and give me your verdict. Type trade if you're ready to make the move. Type pass if you think the risk outweighs the reward. Let's see where Cowboys Nation stands. And hey, whatever happens, you can count on this channel to keep you locked in every step of the way.